Hello, my name is Keith, and I'm known as the Florida Stone Man, and today I'm going to be talking to you all about a very interesting, intricate topic. It's called How Going Backwards Can Take You Forwards, and this is a really interesting topic because no one seems to talk about this, because it involves taking risks and, most importantly, trusting within God. Now, there are several different case scenarios where this applies in your life. One of them being, let's just say you, and this is a lot of people actually. Now, you were born into a family, you're the only spiritual one. Maybe it rubs because there's different case scenarios. This is actually what a lot of, the same story that everyone's been messaging me is people are in a family. Their family doesn't expect them to even show their spirituality, let alone practice their spirituality, and let alone share the spirituality. And darkness offends light. Light offends darkness, and people in the dark will either walk into the light or get kind of agitated. And this creates gaps within families sometimes, unfortunately. And then spiritual people actually find new families, which are non-blood, but technically we're all bleeding the same blood. So this is another case scenario of what I call going backwards will take you forwards. You actually did a bunch of things in life that maybe undid your progress. Maybe you used a lot of your time just to be around certain people, and now you find yourself retracting, and it feels like your life is being hit on the reset button. That's good, because you can't make the leap into becoming a better, higher version of yourself with more gifts open and able to help more people if you didn't take that extra step. I know this case scenario is not everyone, and this doesn't apply to everyone. This is just an example. Let's talk about entrepreneurship for a second. And I'll talk about another example for after this, but when it comes to entrepreneurship, for my entrepreneurs out there, you have to be really uncomfortable the entire time. Sometimes you have to take risks when it comes to entrepreneurship, and it might not be the most comfortable of risks. The thing is, if you don't take risks, you're going down. Universal law basically states that, I should have been looking around, but all my videos I'm looking around. These people are friendly. So, when they just kind of disappeared into it. Okay. Were those real people? Okay, back to my point. When it comes to entrepreneurs, you have to understand that, let's just say you've made a lot of gains, but you're comfortable with your gains, but you still have more gains to go if you feel like expanding more or having more stability. Sometimes, or most of the time, as an entrepreneur, you have to take an extra step, maybe invest into something, maybe try something new, and you don't know how it'll go, and it's a risk, and it takes you out of your comfort zone. You might use some of your savings, you might lose some connections, you might gain some connections, etc. But the thing is, you were not able to expand until you took the risk, and guess what? No one else has taken the risk because they weren't brave enough to, and now you're reaping the rewards. It's a really good example. I'm going to tie this into a video game example. I love my video game examples. Now let's say your character is on a ledge. Your character, it's easier for your character to jump from one ledge to another, but it's not really possible for them to jump from the ledge because they're too close to the ledge, but that's what they know. That's what's safe. They know that they're going to have a kind of a chance of making it. It's a less likely chance, but it's more comfortable for them to stand at the edge of the ledge to jump, versus that character, in order for them to actually achieve jumping to the higher ledge versus just the regular ledge, they'll have to go 3 or 4 steps back, and they'll run and jump, which is action oriented, and it's kind of scary. What happens if you run and jump and you don't make the ledge? And then you fall, your character dies. But guess what? We're the main characters in our video game, and most importantly, this video game is run by God, and God will catch you. And if you're doing right and you're doing everything full of light, He will catch you. So the biggest thing is you have to trust in God. You have to trust in the Most High to catch you in anything you do, any kind of risk you do. Make sure you're doing everything correctly. Make sure you're doing everything right. Sometimes, if you're not willing to take a risk, time will go on. And this is another thing too. People are like, I'll just let God do this for me. If you understand that when you wake up in the morning. You can't just say, God, can you do my whole day for me? That's not why we're put on this planet. That's not why we're put here. There's no development in that. And I tell people time and time again, and usually when I tell people, something usually happens right after I tell them. I'm like, okay, you have to do something now, or, like I said, universal law. God is the creator. He put us in this fishbowl. Mechanisms happen to make certain pressures occur so that we're able to grow. So if it's not on your terms and you taking a risk, sometimes it gets a little late. And then you thought you were just staying in one spot, which that doesn't exist. If you think you're staying in one spot, you're slowly going down, but you can't see it. Versus you taking a risk, you jumping, and then you elevating higher than you could have ever achieved, and making some significant progress after that. So maybe the risk is every once in a while, maybe the risk is every few weeks, etc. But everyone has their own form of risk. The humans like being comfortable. Being comfortable does not take you to where you want to be. It gets you where you're at right now, and you slowly de-escalate. Now, when it comes to entrepreneurs and taking risks, a lot of entrepreneurs who are the best entrepreneurs, the most notable ones, I'm not going to use any examples in this video because I don't feel like saying people's names, but everyone looks at them when they've had 100 losses and they see that one win and they're like, oh, how entitled of him or her, like how dare she, like that person's so lucky, look what they did, they didn't do that much to get to their position. When they took some serious risks, God caught them, or the ones who were close to God, and then they actually achieved what they set out to achieve, but it was very painful to take a risk or an investment or etc. And what I mean by investment, you invest your time, you invest your energy, you invest your money into growing. Because if you think you're staying the same, you're not. You are not. If you think, because there's certain entrepreneurs who will, and this applies in spirituality too. This applies with spiritual gifts, and I'll talk about that in 1 second. Some entrepreneurs will be like, okay, I'm comfortable, I have this amount of saved, but they're not going up. And they're hibernating. Their forests are in hibernation mode. They're not in flourish or nourish or grow mode. They're not rejuvenating. They're just hibernating. And too long in hibernation leads to what? You know, dire needs, dire consequences. So it might be 5 years before that happens, but that entrepreneur is still setting themselves up for that. Let's fully talk about risks with spiritual gifts. Now, I only teach about good risks with spiritual gifts because there's bad risks. Now, the biggest risks with spiritual gifts is time, patience, and trust, which everything leads back to God because God is the most important. He's the most high. But sometimes the risk with spiritual gifts is mainly with consistency. Are you going to risk just trusting that what you see? Because mostly with spiritual gifts, it's about what you don't see is actually going on, about things that you will see once your spiritual gifts flourish well enough. Let's talk about gifts of clairvoyance, because this is the most obvious gift. Usually, 90% of the time, when you're not seeing anything when it comes to spiritual gifts, you're actually seeing something, but it's kind of like a preview or a sneak peek of what you're about to see. And it's kind of like just seeing, okay, are you able to take what seems like nothing? Because once you're shown everything, and what do I mean by that? So let's just say that for an example, because this is the best example. You look up in the sky and you see nothing but stars. You see lots of stars. Even during the daytime, you can see a bunch of little white things moving around. That's the beginning of your clairvoyance. But people are not happy with that. People are just like, they won't risk trusting that if they just see the very small things, that they'll be able to see the very big things. So in spiritual gifts, the risks, the going backwards is thinking that you're not making progress for a very long period of time actually leads to the most progress. Because for the people who wait the longest, fight the longest, and have the most patience and trust in the Most High God, are the people who achieve the most spiritual gifts being opened. If you think your gifts open automatically, easy come, easy go. So the ones that you take time to build actually builds a spiritual muscle. And that's even a risk on its own as well. People are afraid to step into the gym. Why? Because people will judge you. No one cares about what you're doing in the gym. Unless you're Spider-Man on the machines and people are going to be like, what's up? And you're going to be on YouTube and a YouTube short doing some kind of crazy Spider-Man stretch. But even then, you might get sponsored. You might just appear in a Spider-Man movie as an extra. Or a stunt man, because, I mean, there's some interesting Spider-Man workout machine videos, but when it comes to going backwards to go forwards, going backwards in this case is you feel like you're embarrassing yourself, you feel uncomfortable. Now you're not doing other things, like you used to go to bars and clubs and stuff like that, but now you're getting up a little bit earlier. You used to hang out with your friends, etc. But you're going backwards because it seems like what you're doing is not working for you, and it seems like you can't. This is all about trust in the unseen. What God does, we can't see. We can't even perceive it. He can move little atoms around in our favor that we can't imagine. Okay, so when it comes to being uncomfortable and going to the gym, the unseen is going on. Basically, you're not able to see certain things not hurting you anymore. Maybe when you used to go to bars and nightclubs, people would siphon your energy, affecting everything from your love life, to your self-love life, to your finances, to your mental state, to your mental being, but you didn't see that. You just didn't see it. And then you think you're going backwards now because you're going to the gym and you don't know what you're doing and it's embarrassing. Well, keep going backwards, because the jump forwards is now, once you know what you're able to do in the gym, you're doing stuff that is now, it's familiar to you, and you're growing and you're expanding, your health is getting better, etc. That's just an example. The gym's a good example because I encounter people who are like, I don't want to step in the gym, I don't want to I don't want to make a fool of myself, I'm embarrassed, etc. But no one really cares what you do in the gym, as long as you show up in the gym. I mean, just showing up in the gym is an accomplishment on its own. You might think you're going backwards just going backwards and not knowing anything when you get there, but you're going forwards and just being there. That's one thing. That's one thing about that. What are other examples of going backwards to go forwards? I mean, the thing is, negative people being removed from your life is one. God will cut negative people out of your life, and you'll seemingly end up on your own. You'll just have that one friend that you trust and that you care about, but then you'll notice everyone's gone, and it feels like you've gone backwards because now you're at home more often. Maybe you're experiencing silence more often, and when you experience silence, you're actually going into your subconscious mind, unlocking gifts of clear cognizance as well. Your guys are actually connecting to you in the silence of your mind, as silent as it can be. But what's it called? There's so many different examples I could talk about. Going backwards to go forwards. I remember when it was the beginning of, I can't say the word, the end of the world, the beginning of when the world shut down, I practiced going to different online auctions to get really rare crystals. I thought I was going backwards because I was getting crystals no one cared about. No one even talked about. And the crystals were very, very pricey. They were very high-end, but again, I was winning the auctions, but no one seems to know about any of these crystals, and no one seems to care about them. So I'm like, was that for nothing? And then, even now, someone came along and was like, do you have this, and this crystal? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, I'll take everything for just immediately. I'll just take it off you right now. So it actually had value, and it was very beneficial to someone. And it's just another example of going backwards to go forward, because that crystal actually really helped that person's life. I can't say any details or be specific, but those set of crystals actually unlocked something in that person, and that person set out to achieve everything they ever set out to achieve. Now, like I said, I can't get into details or examples because I never asked that person for their permission, but there's super, super, super rare crystals, like ones that when I try to pronounce, I go, one of them being okay, herderite, if I can say that word. It's a really, really high quality gemstone. So herderite, if I'm saying the name right. There's blue herderite, violet herderite, but it's really, really, really rare, and it was a top quality crystal that came from an auction, and it really had value to someone, and it really opened some gifts within that person. Now, that was one example of me thinking I was going backwards and I was going forwards. Is, hey, I got crystals that I didn't think could help anyone, and it actually did help people. Now, that's my goal. I love helping you guys. It gives me joy to change your lives and to be able to bless and uplift you and change your life with crystals in different ways that the Most High has provided on the earth for me to make into fine crystal jewelry for you guys, which you guys can get from FloridaStoneman.com. But the whole essence of this video is, when you're doing everything right, and everything seems to be kind of like falling apart or going backwards for you, and you're taking risks, for example, it could be any kind of risks. It could be mental risks, spiritual risks, emotional risks, financial risks, business risks, etc. There's 100,000 different risks, but you're not going to grow unless you take risks, and you can't get to the next ledge. There's a video game example. You can't jump to the next ledge or the higher ledge until you go backwards to jump forwards, because you would have just hit the ledge straight on if you just were comfortable and you did what you knew and you fell down. So I hope this video helps you guys. If you have any questions, you can ask them in the comment section. Until then, I'll see you guys next time. Ciao.